Hi everyone! Welcome back to Dancers Doing Stuff. Today is going to be a very, very exciting episode. I am speaking with my friend Ramita. She was, we met doing what was it? It was like it was the Jerome Robbins Centennial performance. We got to learn the opening number of On the Town and work with Josh Bergasse, and we performed it on the Intrepid, which is like this big boat. So that's how we met. But she is an amazing dancer. She has done so many cool dance jobs and also has, worked for Tedmed, and she's starting her own networking awesome community. I'm doing a horrible job explaining it. I wrote it all down in my notes and now I'm doing a horrible job explaining it, but that's why she's here to talk all about everything that she's up to. So as always, before I bring her in, I want to show you guys video of her dancing because she is seriously such a beautiful dancer, so graceful, so clean. It just I don't know, I feel like I'm watching marshmallow fluff just float through the air whenever I watch her. I don't know, that maybe is a weird description, but I love watching her dance. So I'm going to show you guys this awesome video. Okay, now please welcome Ramita. Let me put the applause sounds on. Awesome, hello, welcome, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. This is so cool.
Of course, so I already told you before, but I love your reel. It's just it's so fun, and you've done so many cool, different things. I feel like it's such a great, versatile reel. So I'm glad I got to share it with everyone.
Oh, thank you. It's a little bit old. I need to update it. I was telling you earlier, it was on my quarantine to-do list and I haven't done it. So. Yep.
Same. I watched mine recently and I was like, oh, wow, this is really old and doesn't represent me very well. Yeah, so before we get into talking about dance and talking about all our cool stuff and all the cool things that you're up to that I butchered in my intro, we are going to be making some sugar scrubs today, which is one of my favorite things to make. So before we jump into it, we are going to get our coconut oil first. So I am making a kind of like, what is it, like a pumpkin spice version, and then you are going to be making a little different version. I think you've got like some eucalyptus, you've got some tea tree. It'll be like a very like opening sinus sugar scrub.
Exactly.
So that'll be good.
Like essential oil pack.
Oh, I love that little kit. That's so cute.
Yeah, I have an essential oil diffuser that I like put on every night. I love it. It's like the best thing in my life.
It's my favorite. It's so just like soothing.
Yeah.
So we're gonna start. Let's get our coconut oil. This is like the messiest part, probably. So cool. I'm gonna use like half a cup of coconut oil. And we have the hard kind of coconut oil. I think it's like cold pressed coconut oil. Yeah. Okay, mine is kind of.
I don't have much in here, so I'm just gonna scoop out.
Yeah, just use what you can. We can kind of adjust the amounts. It doesn't have to be super precise. We're not, selling this.
I've always wanted to make sugar scrub. There was a girl in my high school that or middle school who got really famous. She was like a child entrepreneur for sugar scrubs.
Oh my god.
And I never knew how to make them.
They're really easy.
Yeah.
And it's super fun. Okay, so I have roughly half a cup of coconut oil. So I'm going to put that in my bowl.
Does this look like half a cup? I didn't really measure it.
That looks perfect. I think that looks amazing. Okay. Coconut oil is in the bowl.
Amazing.
Here, my roommate's cat wants to lick the cup because she loves oils. So I am going to be doing a mix of regular sugar and light brown sugar. And then you have just some regular sugar, which is perfect. I thought I would get a little fancy. Oh, amazing. That'll be nice and exfoliating. Perfect. So I'm going to do half. I guess I'll explain what we're doing, and then we can get into dancing while we're mixing and stuff. Or we're not going to start dancing right now. We're going to talk about dance. So I am doing, this light brown sugar is very hard. I'm going to be using, I guess a quarter cup of light brown sugar and a quarter cup of the regular sugar, and then you're going to use just half cup of your sugar and pour that into the bowl. And then for your little batch of sugar scrub, you can kind of get creative with what you want. I feel like eucalyptus and tea tree will go well together. You could probably do 3 drops of each because they're pretty strong. And then all you got to do is really mix it up, and then you're basically good to go. Cool. Until you take a shower. So it's a really quick and easy little craft thing that we can do. And then I'm going to be using, what am I using? I'm using some cassia oil, some wild orange, some ginger, and some cinnamon bark to make a kind of pumpkin spice-esque little situation. Cool. So while we do this, I would love to hear a little bit about where you grew up, how you started dancing, just kind of the early years.
Yeah, totally. Well, first of all, this is so cool. Who knew this was so easy?
I know.
I never do crafty stuff anymore. I love it. Over quarantine, I would I painted and I made some bracelets and stuff, but I haven't done a fun thing like this, so this is awesome. But okay, I grew up in Pittsburgh, in Murraysville, Pennsylvania. I was born in the city of Pittsburgh, and then I lived in a town called Ross Draver for a long time, and then moved to Murraysville, which is where my family is now. And I started dancing when I was 5 at a studio called Ross Draver Dance Academy, and I was just a little, I really wanted to be a gymnast when I was little, but there was a studio literally 3 minutes from my house, and my mom was like, let's do this instead. And I started with ballet and acrobatics, and I was a little bendy acro kid, and then I slowly just added on styles tap and jazz and everything else. So that was most of my childhood. I was a comp kid my whole life. Moved when I was about 8 to a studio in Murraysville, and my family moved to Murraysville. And then alongside all of this, I did classical Indian dance. So my aunt is a dance teacher, and our local like temple had classical Indian dance classes, and she taught them. So I did that on Sundays and like on the weekends, and then during the week, rest of the week, I would like do my competition dancing. So that kind of lasted from when I was 5 until I graduated from high school. And then I went to college in Philly and moved to New York after college.
Wow. And when you were in college, did you major in dance, or did you have like a dual major, or what was that like?
Yeah, so I really wanted to go to school for dance. I was like actually pre-med in college at the beginning, and I really, when I was applying to colleges, wanted to go for I wanted to be like a double major and do dance and pre-med, but I ended up going to UPenn, and they actually don't have any type of dance programming at all whatsoever. It's like pretty sad.
Wow.
And so they
I would
didn't.
think a big school like that would at least have like a small dance department.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't have anything, which is like a huge bummer. But it was also kind of a blessing in disguise because I was part of a dance company called Arts House Dance Company, and there were just like it was just I met my best friends, but also like learned so much about dance that I didn't know before, like how to produce shows and how to like create content and how to like manage a company and do all this stuff that like since everything was like independently run by students, it was like a really good learning experience, and the faculty like really supported those extracurriculars for us. So I don't know, it was like a big blessing in disguise, and I'm kind of glad that I had that because then it motivated me to like actually want to dance professionally even more.
Yeah, that's awesome. So wait, did you end up, what was your major you said, because they didn't have a dance program? What did you end up majoring in?
Yeah, so I was pre-med for a little bit, and then I didn't like it anymore, and so I ended up majoring in health and societies, which is a mixture of like health and business.
Cool. That's awesome. I'm sure that both of those things are so important in dance, like knowing about the body and health, and then also business has really served you well, which we're going to definitely get into a little later. So I know that you did So You Think You Can Dance. I was wondering if you could kind of share some of those experiences and, when you did that and what made you decide to audition for that show.
Yeah. So I auditioned it was like the end of college, and I really didn't I had watched the show growing up. It was like one of my favorite shows growing up, obviously. And in college, like I said, towards the end of college, I was getting to this point of like, should I move to New York and dance or should I not? And my best friend, who's now my co-founder of Artwork, which we'll talk about later, Nick Silverio, he was also my roommate at the time, and he was in Arts House with me. And so at sophomore year of college, he actually left to go dance for about a year and a half in New York, and he did a bunch of shows and he was killing it there. And I was like, ugh, I really wish I could like do that too. And so he's always just like super encouraged me. And at the end of college, So You Think, this was the season after they did the kids season, and so we didn't know it was coming back, but he saw it and he was like, Rami, you need to audition, like it's like you definitely have to do it. And so I was like, okay, begrudgingly we like I submitted a video. I really didn't want to for some reason, but he was like, no, you have to do it. So I did it, and then it like went really well. I got a call back from the video, and then the whole process started. I auditioned like in New York in March, and then a Vegas week, which is now called the Academy, happened in May, and it was actually the day of my college graduation. So I flew like from commencement to LA, which is like the most symbolic ever, and it was probably like the best day of my life. But
that is so exciting.
That started my dance career. It was very like one chapter to the next. So
That's amazing. Was it as crazy as people might assume it would be, like the hours and the amount of dancing that you do? And
um there's a lot of waiting, which is like similar to the dance industry. Like when you're on a job, it's just like it's a lot of waiting. It's a lot of like what we typically do now. And at that time, that was like my first experience of it, so that's kind of what I noticed most. But I had a really awesome time doing it, and I did a mixture of classical Indian dance and contemporary on the show, just because that was like what I felt like most represented me.
mm,
And so it was cool to like have that perspective. I was like one of the first South Asian people to do that, and or to do that on the show, and to like make it to that point. And so it just felt really cool. I was just excited to be there every step of the way, and I had no expectations going in. So it was just really fun to like be there and be around so many amazing dancers, and a lot of them are still my friends in New York. So overall, I just had a blast doing it, and yeah, it was a great experience.
that's awesome. Because I've heard, sometimes there's like jobs and things that we put ourselves through that can be not such great experiences. So it's good to hear that that was an actually a good experience, because it looks so magical, and the whole, like, it seems so mysterious. And then I've actually met like so many people now being in New York who have had some sort of interaction with So You Think, and like have either been on it or auditioned. So it's so cool to see, like, all the different parts of it and how much they don't actually show on the show of
Yeah.
what actually is happening behind the scenes. Like, there's so many more rounds and all those different things that happen. So that's crazy.
Totally. I think that was something that surprised me too, of like all the rounds that happened before that, even that like first audition. Like you have to I think my first day we had to do like 2 or 3 rounds of improv before we even got like to that next round. It was like a whole day affair the first day, I remember. And then the other thing that I remember that was surprising was all the paperwork. We did like a full day of paperwork where we just showed up and like all sat around at a table and like filled out forms all day.
Oh my
um
gosh.
it was fun. Like things that you wouldn't necessarily think about, but again, like very early in my dance career, so like now I would maybe understand that more, but like at that stage I was like, whoa, this is like a whole new world.
Yeah, totally. So after that, you moved to New York and then kind of started your journey here. What are some of the things that you've really enjoyed participating in New York? I know we did our fun job. That was such a fun job. I mean, I guess it was a job. We didn't get paid, but we got to learn original Broadway choreography from an awesome choreographer and perform on a massive, like, what is that? Like a ship? What do they, I don't even know
Yeah,
what they use that for.
a ship museum, I don't know.
Yeah, that was a crazy experience. So, what other kind of fun things have you gotten up to since you started your journey in New York?
Yeah, so it took me a little bit of time to figure out what I wanted to do in New York. And I don't think I knew really what it meant to be a professional dancer. One, because I truly like didn't know that many people who had like gotten to that point. And like as a brown person, like to be honest, there are like no people that I could like look up to or ask questions to. So I was like totally lost. I was like, what do I do here? And when I first moved, I think coming off of the show, since Indian dance was like such a big facet of that, I got really pulled into like a lot of Indian dance opportunities off the bat. So I toured with a company called Atma, and did a show called Mystic India for about a year and a half, almost 2 years. So that was my first, that started like immediately when I moved to New York. But that was my first like show that I was a part of, and I learned so much. It's like a crazy involved show. There are like 40 costume changes and like so many pieces. There are costume changes in between pieces. Like
Oh my
it was
goodness.
crazy. Yeah, it's a crazy show, and we toured like all over the U.S. So it was really fun. I learned so much and had a great time with like all the awesome people that were part of that cast. And then I did a lot of like different Bollywood and like Indian dance stuff for that first year. But then I think like I got to a point where I was doing so much of that actually I had never trained in Bollywood. Like I did classical Indian dance, but that's
Right.
separate from Bollywood. And like I felt really a little bit like tokenized as like, okay, you're a brown person, so you should do Bollywood dance. So then I kind of like moved away from that, and my training is as a jazz and contemporary dancer. So I kind of went back into competition world and did a lot of like teaching, judging choreography like in that space, and went back to studios and that type of thing. And then slowly like auditioned for musical theater and commercial. Signed with Clear about years ago to block, and so that has really been like a big part of my commercial and theater dance journey. So I did like Aida in 2019 last year, which was a really awesome show that I loved. And then I've done a bunch of like TV and film things like John Oliver and Fashion Week and I Am the Night premiere. So a bunch of fun things, kind of like mostly in the commercial space, but then also like auditioning for theater.
So cool. I feel like you have done so many different things that it must not get boring. Like that's the fun thing where you get to do so many different things. It's like it's stressful, but then you're always able to just explore and not get stuck doing one thing forever.
Yeah, I think I really like the variety, and I'm also like I'm one of those dancers that kind of like falls in between. That's what made the path so tricky, was that I was never like, oh, I'm definitely a musical theater dancer, I'm definitely a commercial dancer, I'm definitely an Indian dancer. Like I was just like, I like all of these things. I love dancing. I was like a contemporary dancer first and foremost, and that's not really like a thing.
Yeah, that's true. I feel exactly the same way. It's like I love musical theater, but I'm not like obsessed with being on Broadway. Like I would love to be on Broadway, but that's not like my huge dream. I just, want to dance and do all the different things. I don't want to be like stuck in a box of one style. And that's also hard, I guess, also when the agencies kind of separate it with commercial and theater too, which it's awesome that you've been able to do both, even though, like, does Block separate it like that, or they're able to send you out to both things and stuff?
Yeah, so interestingly, when I signed with Clear, it was for theater. And I was like I really like went mostly towards like theater opportunity, like theater auditions and stuff like that. That's like mostly what Clear sent me to, but I was also on the commercial roster. And then I met Block through Wise Fruit, if you've been to it. So Brenda was like one of my really great mentors, and I was performing at that for Stephanie Clemens, who's another mentor that I love and admire so much. So during that, Steph is signed with Block, and so they like, I got connected with them through that, and that gave me an opportunity to, they were like, if you jump over, we'll sign you for commercial and theater. And I like wanted a little more of a balance between the two, and I felt like they could offer that. And so and they totally have, and I'm happy. I love both agencies. I think they were great, but I'm really happy that I switched to be able to do like a good balance of both. And I really liked the commercial work too. So that's kind of how that happened.
Awesome. Well, that is a perfect transition. We're going to do our first game. You can keep stirring up your sugar scrub. My sugars are a little clumpy because I think they're old. So mine is not so nice and smooth, but
yeah, mine's super smooth. I mean, I feel like the oil didn't like dissolve very well. Should I put water or something? I guess
no, it'll be okay. It should actually kind of harden up a little bit, and then it'll melt with your body temperature. Like in the shower, you can use it. But you're probably pretty good to do it. But if you want it to be a little more liquidy, then you can use your liquid coconut oil if you want it to be a little more like body gel-ish. Yeah. Awesome. So let me put our little graphic up. It's time for Would you rather? Woohoo! Okay, so I explained this to you a little bit before, but for anyone watching on YouTube, you guys can interact with us at this point. We'd love to know what you would rather do. So I'm going to pick randomly one red card and one, it's like a teal. I think I keep calling this blue or green. I switch off, but I don't know what it actually is. It's like a Tiffany blue. I don't know.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Would you rather have to move to a different house every week or live in a shed in the middle of a desert?
Definitely move to a new house every week.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes I feel like dancing is like that if you're just like bopping around places.
Yeah, it just sounds like you're on tour. Awesome. That was an easy one. Some of them are like really weird. It's funny that those were both like housing related ones. That was totally random, I swear. I didn't stack the deck.
Oh, we didn't have that on like one card. Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, they were on two separate cards. That's what's weird about it. Oh my gosh. This one came up in another episode. It's a little intense. Would you rather have explosive diarrhea every morning when you wake up or sleep in a cage of snakes every single night?
Oh no, that's so hard. I feel like the diarrhea has to be better than snakes, right? I don't know.
think so. I think I would pick that.
That's a really hard one.
That is really hard and really gross. I'm sorry. That was
Okay.
I need to take that one out of the deck because it's come up twice now and it's disgusting both times.
Oh my god.
Okay, last one. And we got a like from someone on YouTube, so thanks if you're watching out there. Thanks for liking us. Okay, would you rather have an alarm go off each time you fall asleep or have to eat without using your hands or cutlery? So I guess you're just like face first into the food.
I feel like face first.
Yeah, it's like every
Yeah, I need my sleep. So I feel like
meal is like a pie eating contest, I guess.
it's fine. I could make it work.
Yeah. Those were good. You were really quick with those. Some people have a hard time. You must have a very strong sense of self.
I don't know about that.
Awesome. Well, now that we've transitioned into non-dance talk, I wanted to talk a little bit about your experience working with Tedmed and then also just like working as a dancer and balancing that and like balancing all the stuff that you learned in school that wasn't dance related.
Yeah. So I guess this just goes along my dance journey. So as I was kind of figuring out my place in the dance industry, I was also figuring out what I wanted to do with my life, like to have a good sense of balance and to just like feel happy in all the things that I was doing. When I like first moved to New York, I was like, okay, I'm only going to dance. I'm going to throw all like academic stuff, all college related stuff out the door and just totally focus on dance for at least like this first year. And I had a bunch of like different gig jobs on the side, like babysitting. And I remember go to NYU and stuff had these like studies where you could get like paid $20 to like answer some questions. I would do like stuff like that. But I just, in doing all of that, so I'm so glad that I did it because I learned a lot, but I think I just needed more consistency and like needed one thing outside of dance that could ground me. And so I ended up like relying on my degree and focusing on like consulting in healthcare, which I didn't know what that meant at the time, but I just learned a bunch of different skills to be able to like be valuable to companies. And I got really lucky because Tedmed is a company that I interned at in college. It's TED Talks for Healthcare. It's a really small team up in Connecticut, so it couldn't really work for them. They weren't open to remote culture like at the beginning, but slowly I had just kept like in touch with them, and eventually they were like, okay, like, yeah, stay on board. We have like a few projects that we need. So it started with that, and then I was able to build up different skills in like marketing and then UX design, which is just like how you design apps and products, as well as just like product oriented design and graphic design. So I just built up all of these like random skills. I just liked playing. I always loved Photoshop and stuff like that. So I figured out how to like refine it and cultivate it, and then I used that to like work at different startups. So I would be like, when I tell my like kids about my life and career like 10 years from now, I will always remember just like sitting in Ripley Greer, and like between audition, like I go in the morning, I would do meetings or like do my work on my laptop, and like in between that work I would go like sign my name in at the holding room or like go to the audition and whatever. So it was a very like kind of weird balance, and a little tricky at times, but it gave me a lot of like security in like financial security, because I had like one or two things that I was just focusing on outside of dance, but then also I had like just peace of mind that I could take myself out of dance every now and then and really focus on the opportunities that I loved, and that like audition, you don't make money off of auditioning, but like I could really focus on like then showing up to those auditions and like having the energy to put my full self into it and like really commit to the opportunities I wanted to pursue versus just like spreading myself thin and doing everything. So it took me a while to get there, and I had to do everything to like figure that out. But I think that's the balance that like I ended up feeling more comfortable with eventually.
That's awesome. And I think it sounds really healthy, and I feel like a lot of people could learn from that. And also, like, I know so many people who go to college and get a degree, and then it is a kind of like a complicated issue, I guess, nowadays of like, should you go to college or should you just dance? And I went to Smith. They have a dance major, so I majored in dance, and I did a lot of like anthropology and all of these things. And I still use so much of what I learned in college, and I do think that college is a great experience, and definitely some people don't need to go, but it's awesome that you're able to actually utilize what you majored in and all of those skills that you learned, and now you've kind of developed that even further. So I'd love to talk about your new adventure, artwork. Is it artwork? It's like WRK, right? That's like...
Yeah, it's arts with an ARTS and
Arts,
then WRK. Yeah.
Arts work. Okay, cool. So tell everyone all about this. I'm so intrigued. I've liked every Instagram picture, and all of the branding is amazing. Like, you guys have your waiting list. Everything is just so enticing about it. So I'm just really excited. And mostly I just want to know for myself everything about this, because I'm so intrigued.
Yeah. Okay. So, thanks. First of all, yeah, I'm super excited about it. So, Nick, who I was talking about earlier, we, like I said, went to school together, and he studied business and created his own major called commercial dance management. And so we have always just aligned on like our interests for like this intersection of business and the dance industry and entertainment. And going through the industry, we just saw a lot of like gaps and pain points, and especially as I was consulting in like health tech, I was like, wow, there are so many like gaps in the dance industry where we're not like getting technology here to serve our needs, and to serve the needs of like so many like creative professionals. And so that kind of like got us thinking. We were like, why are these basic things so hard? Like, why do we still have to print out a piece of paper and a headshot and... But there are just certain things that it just feels like we could put some attention to and innovate on. And so that's where this idea came from. But is a professional network for artists and creatives. So it's a LinkedIn essentially that's created for artists, and for people in the gig economy. So obviously, like if you use LinkedIn, it makes sense for like a 9-to-5 job, but you can't put all of the different like creative skill sets that you have even as a dancer. Like, you wear so many different hats. So the purpose of this is you have a profile, you can put in all the different creative tags and sub tags that you have. So I could say dancer, singer, choreographer, creative director, whatever I want to write. And then put in all my like genres under dance and singing and whatever. And then the way that I track work is by so right now we use like Instagram, like that's how we probably stayed connected.
Yeah.
But I even until you said Intrepid, I was like, oh, I kind of forgot where we met, right?
Yeah.
And it's hard to stay at the top of people's minds. So the way that this works is you put in, after you do a gig, you just put it onto your profile, your resume. But it doesn't have to be like only your most professional gigs. It's meant to just track everything that you've done and then track all your connections connected to it. So if
Wow.
I did like John Oliver, then I can go in there and ideally add everyone that also did that with me. And if other people have added their connections from the job, then ideally on that page, you see everyone that worked the job, including like the producers and the hairdressers and whatever. Because the point is that like our arts ecosystem like relies on word of mouth and relies on one another to get jobs and get work. And so the goal is for everything to be in one place, for all of us to be connected so that we can refer each other to work. And obviously the dance industry, there's not much happening right now. So the feature that we're kind of building in now to keep everyone connected and balanced is this like resources hub. So basically like whether it's part-time jobs or COVID relief or taxes and accounting, things like that, there are going to be like discussion boards as well as like literal links to resources and like organizations that you can get connected to for those resources.
This sounds so amazing. I'm just like jaw on the floor listening to it because it's so needed. Like everything you're talking about, I can see it and it's like lighting up in my brain like, wow, oh my gosh, a solution, finally, something that's better than just Instagram. Like it really is, like we're expected to. Instagram is so tricky, and I've talked about this with other people where there's like such a strange situation because it's not a professional resource for everyone who uses Instagram. So some of the people we're connected with on Instagram are like our friends from middle school, and they like, you know, feel some type of way when you're like posting all these professional pictures. And, you know, it's just like a weird balance of doing that because that is really like our only way. I mean, there's like backstage and actors access and all of that, but that's not really accessible to everyone. And it's not like a community. It's not like two ways. You don't get to like see other people. It's like the head people, and then I'm just like this little minion trying to like make myself seen. But this seems like it's such a community and such important resources. Like there's so much that I learned from doing ProSem, but I didn't learn in my college. And if you didn't even go to college, or if you didn't do a program like ProSem at BDC and you just kind of moved to the city and had to figure it out, it's really hard. There's so much that is not taught, and there's so much that's really easy to teach and should be available for people. So I'm just like 3,000% on board with this and so excited about it.
Thank you. I mean, totally. That's like the thought. It's kind of like, why doesn't this already exist? Because it just makes sense that like there would be an easy way for us to all connect, to share resources, to like have a place that's only about like arts jobs and, you know, what we need like as a portfolio. I mean, people make websites and things like that, and this isn't trying to replace that. Like you can still have your personal website, but it's just so hard to upkeep something like that versus just like, okay, for every job, make it really dynamic and be able to connect with the different people. But I think more than that, yeah, it's kind of exactly what you were saying. Just like Instagram works for people, use it for such different things. Even if I use it personally as a marketing tool, which I do, I use it for like very specific types of marketing though. Like if I'm teaching classes, then I put them on there. Or if I'm like, doing super specific, like publicly oriented stuff. But, you know, no one sees like the actual day-to-day work that's happening, right? Like I only publicize kind of like my classes and that kind of thing on there versus like the jobs and stuff that gets lost in just like the day-to-day happenings and the auditions and things like that and the people that I'm meeting. So it really does like it's just a totally different purpose what Instagram has, and we're hoping that like this is more for your like day-to-day artists who are in it and want to connect with the other people in it in like a professional capacity where all your stuff is just in one place. So
I love it. And especially because like we have SAG-AFTRA and we have equity, but there's no just like specific dance union or something unifying dancers, like a place where we can just come together and like, you know, I know there's Dancers Alliance, which is awesome. If anyone out there, like, definitely check that out. But I feel like this and Dancers Alliance together will be such powerful tools to like really give agency to dancers and to like create community and to like create industry standards and stay connected in a non-competitive way. Like, totally. I just think everything about this is genius. So I'm so excited. When do you guys like officially launch? Like, how can people get involved with it?
Yeah, so right now the best way is to go to artswork.com and just sign up for the wait list. And we're going to roll out the platform to like 50-ish people at a time that are like generally connected to one another. So we're going to do some stalking and just like make sure people know at least one or two other people on the platform, just while we still like work out some bugs and test it out. We have like an awesome team of engineers who've been like working on it, and
so cool.
It's been really fun to put it together. But I think that it's just gonna take some time to roll it out. We're hoping to launch in January and start rolling it out to people on the wait list though at the end of this month. So
cool.
Right around the timeline is a little TBD because of the election. We were like November 1st we'll roll it out, but I doubt anyone will care about this.
Right.
So we'll probably do like a little bit into November. We'll start rolling it out to people, and just like small groups until early next year, most likely January. We'll get it out to the public.
Wow, that is so amazing. I know I've said the word amazing 400 times, so I need to like read a thesaurus and get my vocabulary up because I say amazing too much. That's what I've learned editing a podcast every week. You realize that you have a very limited vocabulary, but it really is amazing. So I'm going to stick with that word for now. So before we get into our last kind of like game question situation, I would love to just know some of your other passions outside of dance, like what you do for fun, what you do when you're like having downtime.
Yeah. Well, I think that I honestly like my life is really split between like dance and business, and like with the business stuff I've really liked just playing with like random design stuff. Like I love just like playing on there's this program called Figma that is like this is so nerdy that I'll say a real like hobby and stuff like that too, but it's just this really fun like Photoshop designy tool that I play with all the time.
Did you make all the branding for Artswork, or is that what you used to make that?
But most of it, we had one of my friends designed our logo for us, and so he did most of it, but he did like the basics, and then me and like a few other people have been working on like creating the graphics and making like the design of how everything looks on like for the brand and the site and stuff. So
cool.
It's like a team effort. All of it's a group effort. But cool. Anyway, I love design stuff, and then I really like making like little bracelets and stuff. I'm very hands-on. I've loved cooking during quarantine. Spent a lot of time with friends. I've biked a lot during quarantine. So yeah, just like outdoorsy stuff, like watching TV, binge watching TV.
Yeah. A nice variety of different things. I think that's so important to just like keep yourself busy, and you can work your creative muscle even when we're not able to really work dance so much. I mean, obviously, like I know you've been taking like online classes. I've seen you post that and stuff, but it's so different. It's so different.
And you know, for me, honestly, like I need to remind myself now that, you know, dance isn't built into my life every day. It's easy for me to just like not dance sometimes, and like if I don't have space or something like that. So I really like have been trying to just make sure that dance is like in my life, whether it's like teaching or just dancing around in my room or staying active and like exercising. Like I really need to make sure to keep dancing just because I miss it otherwise. And I'm like, I don't feel like myself when I'm not dancing. Yesterday, I just improv'd and like put on this like James Bay song that I love. And it was like such an emotional experience. And I was like, I need to do this every day. I need to dance all the
Yeah.
time. So.
It's you sometimes I forget like I'm feeling really off and weird and I'm like, why do I feel so strange? And then I take a dance class or nowadays I guess like take a Zoom dance class or something and then you're like, "Oh, right. This is what my body and my soul needs." So I need to remind myself to do that as well.
Totally. Yeah, 100%.
Awesome. So, we have entered let me put our little sound on. Question time game. I need a better name for this game. It's not really a game, it's just kind of like, here are some questions that I got from the internet. So basically, these are loosely color coded. Some of them are a little more deep, some of them are a little silly. If there's any that you want to skip, you can always pass. We can pick a new one. None of them are really, incriminating or too scandalous, but I'm going to just pick randomly one of each color and let's see what it gives us. And then you can pick what color you would like to start with. Let's see. Okay. Let's see if these are all housing related as well. Okay. Pick a color, any color.
I'll do blue.
Awesome. Ooh, starting off with a deep one. What are you most afraid of?
Most afraid of, huh? I'm not sure. I'm like obviously like as most people would be. I think I'm just like death scares me. And the idea of just like losing people, I think, is like the scariest possible thing. But yeah, that is a deep question. That would be it. A more lighthearted thing that I'm scared of is dogs, which is so ironic because I feel like you wouldn't expect that of me. I'm a very like dog-like energy, but I'm not a dog person, unfortunately. So I was scared of dogs my whole life.
Oh no. Did you have like an experience where a dog... I actually got bit in the face by a dog once.
Really?
Yeah.
A bunch of dogs would just like chase me. I think they could sense that I was scared, but I just got chased and like nipped by like a bunch of dogs when I was little, and yeah, I haven't liked them ever since. They've grown on me, but I'm just not a dog person.
Yeah. I'm definitely more of a cat person, as you can see. Okay, next one.
Let's do purple.
Awesome. Ooh, another deep one. What emotion do you experience the most? I guess right now, because I feel like anything like time is segmented between like quarantine and then pre-quarantine. So I guess what emotion do you experience the most right now in your life?
I don't know what word would best describe this, but I just feel very like zoned in, like locked into, especially when I'm doing artwork stuff. I'm just so excited about it and so like all in and invested. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what like emotion that is, but I find myself glued to my computer a lot in a good way.
Yeah.
Which it's not always good, but I just really love what I'm like thinking about and working on. So
That's awesome. Okay, next one.
orange.
What food will you absolutely not eat under any circumstance?
I don't know. I don't really I mean, the easy version is I grew up as a vegetarian. I like ate chicken most of my life, but I don't eat most meat, so I guess that's probably an easy answer.
Yeah.
but there's nothing that I'm like, oh, never ever. Like if someone
You're
held a
like
gun
pretty
to my head,
adventurous with your
yeah,
eating habits. That's good. I
yeah.
need to be more like you. I'm like I have a lot of foods that I would not eat under any circumstance. Okay, last question. Well, second to last question. What do you hope to achieve by the age of 50? That's like,
Um,
I'm sure it's a lot of things because I feel like you're very driven and have a lot of great ideas. So,
well, I would love like if artwork could grow, I would love that. I would love to like have it be a real thing that like actually helps people. I would love to like be able to dance again and have a dance career to some capacity again. Whatever that looks like. And, I had a long list of like goals in that industry that I wanted to accomplish. And then by the time I'm 50, I don't know, I would love to have like a loving family and like some kids that are
yeah.
awesome, and that are like doing their own things. And with the way our world is looking right now, I would just love if like I always think about it like my parents are immigrants and they came here and had like such a like they wanted to make a really good life for us, and I feel so lucky to like have all the opportunities I have. So I don't know what the next version of that looks like, but I hope that I can give them like a better version of what I have, which is like hard to up because my parents did such a good job, but I don't know, whatever that looks like for them would be awesome.
I love that. And then our last question is what brings out your most creative self?
Um, this is like a silly answer, but honestly, dancing, like if I just put on a song and like move around, that truly is like how I feel the most creative and connected. Or seeing moving pieces. I'm a very like visual learner and choreographer, dancer. Like I like seeing things in pictures, and so being able to um, channel that and just see art also like really helps.
Awesome. I love that. That was a great answer. Okay, so I know we talked about arts work, but if there's anything you would like to plug, where can people find you? I have your Instagram on the screen on YouTube, but for anyone who is listening in the podcast, share your Instagram, share anything that you want to plug.
Yeah, I mean, my Instagram is probably like the best place to go for like updates on my life. But yeah, arts work. If you're an artist, definitely sign up for the wait list. It's artswork, ARTSWRK .com because we're edgy.
Yeah, I love that.
And, and you can sign up for the wait list, and we're gonna slowly get people on it. So we just want as many people to like be able to interact with it, and we're really refining it to artists and what people want. So like the more people that we can get on it and get feedback from, like the better it will be probably. So yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for being here. For anyone who is watching or listening, definitely subscribe to my YouTube channel, Essentially Haley. Like this video, comment, tell us if you had an epiphany or you agree with anything that we were talking about. I'd love to hear about it. If you are listening on the podcast, definitely subscribe on Apple Podcasts to Dancers Doing Stuff. It's on Spotify. Google Podcasts apparently is a thing. There's, a bunch of podcast places that you can find it. And then also, I have been doing the Artist's Way this month. I just am on week 2, so there's still time to catch up if you want to get the book and read the chapters and do the exercises. It's been really inspiring and exciting to go through all the not worksheets, like tasks, homework assignments, and just work on ourselves as creatives, since we can't necessarily actually work as creatives. We can work on our creativity. So I think other than that, I don't think I have anything else to plug except my Instagram, which you guys have heard me say a million times. Essentially Haley for my DIY, Dancers Doing Stuff content, and then Haley Grove for my personal and dance stuff. So we will see you guys next time. Bye!